everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the Collector's Mindset channel. Today we're going to take a look at a Seiko watch. It's a Seiko Chronograph. I picked this one up from Amazon Japan. It's around, I got it for less than £60, but it's around that £60 range. They are still available, but the only place I've been able to locate them is through Amazon Japan, and they do ship over to the UK, but anywhere else in the world I'm not sure. So I bought this watch a few months ago, and I took a look at it when I first got it, but I haven't actually unboxed it fully. But I really think this watch is amazing value, and you could say it's akin to a sort of Seiko budget speedy. That's what maybe a few other reviews, and that's kind of that's the name they've given to the watch, the nickname, or the moniker. But I think it's a lot different. To me, it doesn't remind me of a speedy, other than the fact that it's a chronograph in itself. But what I really like about it, it's a beautiful watch, that's for sure, and it's a compact chronograph, so it's about 38mm. It is fully quartz. The model itself is the SND367PC. It's a fully quartz chronograph, but it has some special features in terms of what it's able to do. It's able to measure in the 1/20th of a second. So let's open it up and I'll show you guys what I mean. So obviously it comes with standard Seiko outer box, which I've got many of, and you've then got your Seiko watch guarantee. This whole booklet is in Japanese because this particular watch came from Seiko Japan, well, Amazon Japan, so obviously being sold more over there. So if we open this up, again, another standard Seiko box that I've got quite a few of. What you don't always find in a Seiko box is a polishing cloth such as this. It is generic, it's not been signed. It would have been nice to have some Seiko branding on it, but it is also nice to have received it in any case. And then we've got the watch itself. This is the Seiko SND367PC. It's a quartz chronograph, basically a compact quartz chronograph, fully quartz. It hasn't got a mecha quartz movement or anything like that, but nonetheless it's an excellent quartz movement, and the features of the watch are really awesome. So we'll have a look at the watch first before we take all the stickers off and stuff. As you can see, you've got a polished outer bezel with the tachymeter scale, and I really love that look of a polished tachymeter scale rather than a black one. It's got, obviously, the printing or the engraving is filled with black, so that allows it to stand out. And then you've got a black dial. Now this dial is just really beautiful in the sun, and in the light it really plays well, and it has a sunburst effect, and in the actual daylight it seems to turn into an almost chocolate brown, but it's hard to show that on camera here. But you can see the tone change as the light from the room shines when I'm moving it around, and in the daylight that's just so much more prominent. So again, you've got a Seiko quartz movement inside, and here you can see the running seconds. So it's got running seconds. I always like to see that in a chronograph. A lot of the chronographs, the cheaper ones especially, you're going to see a 24-hour subdial, which is not ideal, because when you're not using the chronograph, there's nothing to show you that the watch is running, basically, unless you look at the watch in like a time lapse for a few minutes or something like that. But with this, you've got the running seconds. You've also got the subdial at the bottom up to 60 minutes. So it's a 60-minute chronograph. And then you've also got, right at the very top, you've got another subdial, which is the 1/20th of a second subdial, which is really cool. You don't really see this on many quartz chronograph movements out there. But so that is the look. And it's just, you've got that framed date window. You've got that printing on the dial. Just very simple Seiko chronograph, 100 meters. So obviously it's got the 100 meters of water resistance as well. It's not a screw down crown as far as I'm aware. and obviously these pushers aren't screwed in either. So even though it has got 100 meters of water resistance, for me, if the watch doesn't have if there's an opening that's not screwed in with a gasket, I feel a bit uncomfortable about using it anywhere around water. Obviously, just general rain, washing your hands, things like that, yeah, fair enough. But there's no way I would take this in the shower. Not that I take my watches in the shower or swimming or anything like that. But it's just a gorgeous watch, and when you see the functionality of the chronograph, it really makes a difference. So let's go ahead and see if we can peel these stickers off here. As you can see, as with all Seikos, they have that really poor quality stickers that always peel off by themselves before you've even received the watch in your hand, really. Okay, so we've got that unboxed. I believe that's pretty much it. And then you can see here you've got this, well, what looks like it's a 3-link bracelet, but they're trying to imitate obviously some smaller links on the inner link with some polishing. So you could say it's trying to look as though it's a 5-link bracelet. It is folded links on here. These links, the quality of them are not the best, but they're Seiko, and so with Seiko bracelets, especially Seiko folded link bracelets, you know what to expect. Well, most people know what to expect, especially if you're someone who's into watches. So it's not gonna, yeah, it's not the worst. When you're wearing the watch, it looks good. That's kind of what they go for with these watches, with these bracelets, with these cheaper watch bracelets, and it enables them to put a lot of effort into the watch itself. And that's why you get a watch like this for around £60. With a much more higher quality bracelet, you're going to find the watches just go up in price, especially if they're Seiko branded. Here you've got a fold over clasp with an additional keeper, so it's double fold over, which is nice. It has got a lot of micro adjust, as you can see there. A lot of micro adjust there. And the other thing is, obviously, it's pressed inner and outer, and those end links there, they're obviously folded, but they're folded, but they're very solid. It's solid there. Then there's no sort of play on that end link. So there is a bit of play with this link meeting the end link, but not the end link itself attached to the case. So even though they are folded links, they're not poor quality folded links where you can feel them, the gap, and you can basically move the end link around, even though it's attached to the case, which is always a sign of poor quality, basically. If we go ahead and we can test out the chronograph feature, you can see the running seconds are running already. I haven't set the time on this or the date. You see you've got a frame date window there. But if we start the chronograph feature straight away, you can see here that the subdial at the 12 is running 1/20th of a second. So, and then for every movement of there, that's going to make one full revolution essentially, which is, so for every second that the second hand moves across the dial, that particular hand there is going to make one full revolution of that subdial. And then you've got your minutes here all going all the way up to 60 minutes. And your running seconds just continues as normal because that's to do with the time. You've got some nice sword hands there, very thin, and you've got some loom on the markers and the hands as well. It's a Seiko proprietary loom, so I believe it's Lumibrite, so it's very, very good quality. Most people will be familiar with Seiko loom and the quality of it, so it's very decent quality loom. Also, what you've got here is you've got a polished finish on the sides of the case. You've also got some brushing on the top of the case, circular, and you've also obviously got vertical brushing on these links here going all the way down. There is a taper. It is a 20mm. It goes down to, I believe, 18. So that's nice to see. The clasp is very thin and fits the bracelet well, if nothing else, even though it's not milled or anything like that. It fits the bracelet well. Sometimes you get chunky clasps which really stick out of the bracelet. This one is really nice and flat on the bracelet, which is also good for comfort. And it means you're not going to catch it on anything as you're moving around. A lot of the time, that's where you get most of your scratches on clasps, is obviously on a desk and things like that. So it's going to be easier to avoid that with this particular watch. And we've still got the chronograph running there. You can see it's about to hit 1 minute, so we should see, we'll just wait for it to get to a minute. You can see the minute hand moving across to the first minute on that sub dial down at the 6. And then if we reset that there, and then we just reset it, you can see as it's a quartz movement, it has to reset itself by going all the way back to the very beginning. And it's actually, what I've just noticed, guys, and I hadn't noticed this previously, it's got 2 dials on that sub dial down at the 60 minutes. So I think this may well actually be, I'm sorry, 2 hands, not 2 dials. So this may well be a chronograph that lasts longer than 60 minutes. So once the first hand gets to 60 minutes, I believe the second hand will start moving. So this can time things beyond 60 minutes, which is awesome as well, because most chronographs, cheaper ones especially, are like 30 minutes. So this is going to go beyond that, which is really, really cool to see. The thing I like the best about the functionality of this chronograph is obviously the 1/20th of the second split time, and then the running seconds as well on the watch. It's always good to see those running seconds because it just tells you the watch is running well. And again, that dial is just amazing, guys. It is an absolutely beautiful watch. And it's a perfect budget chronograph, in my opinion. This is a perfect budget chronograph. Quartz, in and around the £50 to £60 range. Well made, reliable, a really well known brand, Seiko, well respected. So if you're going to say, I'm not a watch person, I don't want to spend hundreds of pounds on a watch, I just want really one watch, and you find yourself drawn to chronographs, many people are who don't tend to be watch people. When you say what watches do you like, or what watches do you really like the look of, a lot of people will be drawn to chronographs. It's just the dial layout and the way it looks. It just appeals to like, I think most people, I think that it appeals to the masses, even those who are not necessarily watch nerds or anything like that. So yeah, to me it's a really, really beautiful watch, and I'm gonna, now that I've unboxed it fully, I think I'm gonna wear it to work probably tomorrow, because it's just amazing. And this is as I said from in the beginning, this is purchased from Amazon Japan. I saw the watch on a deal website. And as soon as I came across it, I was intrigued by the fact that it's a chronograph, and then I saw the 1/20th of the second split, so I really wanted to have a look. And then I obviously went on to Amazon Japan and had a look. There's a bottle green or racing green dial as well. That was really, really beautiful. I went with the black in the end because I wanted a more conventional color. I wanted a more conventional watch that I can wear in any setting. And this just really, really appealed to me. You can see here how on the chapter ring you've got obviously those 5-minute markers all the way down to 60. You've got the tachymeter scale. You've got that movement Japan down at the bottom from Seiko. You've got the branding at the back. It is a screw down case back. It does have 100 meters of water resistance, and you could technically, what that means is you could technically take this swimming, or not diving but swimming, definitely. I wouldn't do that, but again, that doesn't mean it won't be at home in that setting. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. It's not that I don't trust Seiko or their water resistance figures or anything like that. It's just that when I own the watch, if I bought the watch, I want to be a lot more careful with it. And if I'm going in a water setting, I have specific watches that I'll be happy to take in those settings that I know will be reliable, but also I know that I won't feel too aggrieved if they get damaged or if they have any water in the case or anything like that. So this is the Seiko SND367PC, and it's available directly from Japan. Amazon Japan is where I picked it up. You guys can have a look if you are interested. I really do think if you're after a budget chronograph and you want it around that 50 to 60 pound range, and you want it to have some functionality that is really interesting and appealing to the eye, with that movement, obviously with quartz movements, people tend to obviously you don't get the nice smooth movement of the second hand and things like that, but what you do get is when you operate the chronograph, you get that, and that is really, really nice to look at. It's just really cool. And then obviously you can time things to like more accurate than to the 1/20th of a second, which is really cool as well. And of course it goes beyond 60 minutes. So this is a quintessential chronograph that's going to give you all of the functionality that any other chronograph in the world would be able to provide. Obviously it's not a flyback or anything like that. It doesn't have a mono pusher for both start, stop and reset. It doesn't have split time, but all of the core functionalities, I should say, of a Seiko chronograph you're going to get from this watch. So I'll do a much more in-depth review on the watch once I've worn it for a while. Yeah, and I'm sorry about all the smudges on the watch today. It is absolutely baking in the UK at the moment. It's, well, baking in comparison to what, in relative to UK weather, that is. So I'm just feeling a little clammy at the moment. It's awful. I'm gonna have to jump in the shower, I think, straight after this. It's the kind of weather that's a 2-shower a day weather. But anyway, that's the watch there. It's a mineral crystal on the top of there. It's not sapphire, but it's a beautifully clear crystal, and it's obviously Seiko's proprietary hardlex, so it's very good quality. And again, that dial is just gorgeous, absolutely stunning. That black, it's not pitch black, it's not piano black in any way. It's more of a sunburst, and in the daylight, I assure you, it seems to have a almost chocolatey brown sort of look to it, which is really cool. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys had enjoyed looking at this watch. If I would love to hear your comments on the watch itself. If you guys have any thoughts, please do let me know. I know there are other chronographs very similar that Seiko make that are actually mecha quartz movements. So the chronograph functionality is powered by a mechanical movement, but the actual power itself comes from obviously the battery and the quartz. So it's a mecha quartz, and those are really, really interesting as well. I don't have one of those, but I guess they're very similar in look, but I think they're slightly more expensive. I went with the fully quartz version. What those do is that firstly the second hand, as it moves, the chronograph second hand, that is, when you reset it, it's going to fly back to its original starting point at the 60, whereas this is just going to slowly sweep back, basically. That's pretty much it's the main difference, but obviously it's also got, the second hand has also got a smooth sweep. The chronograph second hand has also got a smooth sweep. Once you start operating the chronograph, here you can see the second hand there is ticking like a normal quartz because it's powered by a quartz movement, and it's not got any mechanical components in that way. Obviously there are mechanical components in every quartz movement, there are gears and things like that, but it's not set up to be run like a mechanical movement so that you would have that sweep, that smooth sweep. But with the other versions that are very, very similar in look to this particular watch, they do have that because they obviously got the mecha quartz movement. Again, thank you very, very much for joining me today on this video. I would love to hear your comments, and take care, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye.